This is the same astrophoto, the same data, the same equipment, but completely different colors. And no, I didn't cheat with AI or fake saturation. I'm going to show you 5 color processing techniques today that will transform your astro images from washed out to magazine quality. And the best part, you already have the tools. You're going to use free software, whichever one you prefer, but I'm going to do this actually entirely in Photoshop. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to boost nebula colors without oversaturating stars, eliminate that ugly orange light pollution cast, and target specific emission colors like a pro. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, it's Carl here. If you've been watching my videos recently, you'll know that the most recent video I did was all about star halo reduction. That video has been crushing it, so thank you so much for that. Today we're tackling the next biggest challenge, color. Specifically, how to get vibrant, natural looking nebula colors without your image looking like a radioactive disaster. We've all been there, right? Do some of your images look like this? I'm covering 5 techniques in order of workflow: RGB channel separation, targeted color noise reduction, white balance calibration, saturation masking, and selective color adjustment. Each one builds on the last, so don't skip ahead. And I've time-stamped everything in the description if you need to come back later. Alright, let's open Photoshop and get started. Technique 1. Technique number 1. RGB channel separation. Here's the problem most people don't realize. Your blue channel is 3 to 5 times noisier than your red channel. That's just sensor physics. Blue wavelengths scatter more, light pollution hits blue hardest, and chromatic aberration loves blue. So when you process all 3 channels together with the same curve stretch, you're either leaving blue noisy or you're holding back red and green to match blue's limitations. The fix? Process each channel independently. Here's how. First, open your channels panel. Window, channels, you'll see a grayscale image. This is only your red channel data, and look how clean it is. This is where your HA nebula signal lives. I'm going to apply an aggressive curve here. Really stretch that contrast. Don't worry about it looking too harsh. We're blending 3 channels together. Now click the green channel. A bit more noise than red, but still pretty good. I'm applying a moderate curve here, not as aggressive as red. And now the blue channel, see the difference? Way more noise. This is why we can't treat all channels equally. I'm applying a gentle curve here, just enough to bring out detail without amplifying the noise. Now click back on RGB composite, and there it is. Look at the difference. Same data, but now our red channel is fully stretched, green is balanced, and blue is clean. This is the foundation for everything else we're doing today. Alright then, technique 1 is done. Let's move on to noise reduction now. Technique 2 is targeted color noise reduction. We touched on this with the blue channel, but let's go deeper. Look at this image. You can see all the color noise and the color blotchiness in the background. That's color noise, and it's killing your image quality. The mistake, as we've mentioned, is applying the same noise reduction to all the channels. But remember, blue is way noisier than red, so we need different intensity per channel. First, duplicate your layer. Control J, that always works for me. Open the channels panel, click the blue channel, and use your filter, noise, and reduce noise. Hit OK, wait for it to complete, and now we'll move on to the green channel. Again, the same thing, but we'll apply gentler noise reduction this time. And again, this time I'll use noise reduction 50% and keep details 50%. So it's much less than for the blue channel. Now that we've applied noise reduction to the green channel, we'll move on to the red channel. And for the red channel, we're going to use the least noise reduction so far. We'll go very light. And what I use here for the red channel is noise reduction 30% and details 60%. Red is already pretty clean, so we're just lightly touching it with noise reduction. Don't over process your best data. Now click back onto the RGB and check this out. What you'll see is the difference. Before, we had all the color fringing, all the color and noise. After, a clean, crisp image, and the background looks a lot better. Smooth, no more color blotchiness, but our nebula detail is still intact because we protected the red channel. Okay, just a note here. Here's the mistake I see constantly, and one that I used to make a lot too: blasting all the channels with the same heavy noise reduction. You may get mushy star colors and lost detail. Your red channel doesn't need punishment just because blue is noisy. Treat them independently. All right, 2 techniques down. Let's fix that color cast. Technique 3, white balance calibration. Look at this orange glow. That's light pollution. And it's not just ugly, it's thrown off every color in your frame. Your nebula reds look muddy. Your star colors are wrong. Everything's contaminated. These stars should be white or cream colored. They're orange. That tells us everything has an orange cast. The fix is simple. Use neutral stars as reference points. Here's how. First, find a neutral reference star. This is what you want. You want a medium bright star, not blown out and not too dim. It should be near the center of your frame so that there's less vignetting. It should look white or cream, not obviously blue or orange. This one looks good. Zoom in 200 to 300%. Now see these 3 eyedroppers in the curves properties panel: black, grey, white. We want the grey one. That's the one in the middle. Click it, then click the core of your reference star, the brightest center pixel. Boom! Photoshop automatically balances your RGB channels based on that neutral reference. Look at the difference. The orange cast is now gone. Stars are now properly white. And look what happened to the nebula. The reds are cleaner, more saturated, because they're not fighting that orange contamination anymore. However, beware, because sometimes this overcorrects. If it looks too blue or too aggressive, just reduce the layer opacity. Hopefully you've used the layer before you did this. And if you did, then you can adjust the opacity. Okay, what happens then if you've got really stubborn light pollution? You can use color balance adjustment layer on top of this. So create a new layer with Control J, and in the shadows, drag towards cyan and blue, -15 to -25. This specifically targets that orange sky glow in your background. Midtones, just a touch, -5 to -10. Leave highlights alone. There we go, clean, neutral background. Now we can boost colors without fighting contamination. Quick question before we keep going. Are you processing in Photoshop, PixInsight, or something else? Drop a comment and let me know. I'm curious what everyone's using. All right, next up, saturation masking. This is where things get really powerful. Here's the problem. When you boost saturation globally, everything gets saturated, including the background. Stars turn a neon shade of pink or other colors, and the background goes purple or green. It's an absolute disaster. It's happened to me many times, especially in the past when I didn't apply this technique. So what's the solution? We need to target only the nebula while protecting stars and background. That's what masks do. I'm showing you 2 methods here. The first one is using color range selection. This is by far the easiest. Okay, go to select and then go to color range on the menu. Make sure sampled colors is selected. Next, click the eyedropper and click on your nebula colors. I'm clicking this red nebula region. See how it shows up white in the preview? That's what's selected. Now adjust fuzziness. This controls how much similar color gets selected. I'm going around 40. If you need to add more areas, shift click with the plus eyedropper. Hit OK. Now create a hue saturation layer. Now go to hue saturation. Now crank the saturation slider. You can choose whatever you think is best. This is very much a question of your eye and what you judge to be the best level. Look at that now. The nebula is beginning to pop, but the stars in the background are completely untouched. That's the power of masking. This technique alone will level up your processing game. All right, now it's time for the final technique, selective color adjustment. Well, we've got saturation, we've got clean channels, but the colors still look a bit murky. Why? Because HA emission, O3 emission, and S2 emission, that's sulfur emission, all have specific wavelengths. They should be deep magenta red. O3 or oxygen 3 should be teal cyan, but they're blending together into this brownish mess. We need to target specific hue ranges and push them towards their true emission colors. And here's how we do that. So again, now we create a new layer. In the properties panel, this lets you target a specific color range. Let's start with reds. That's our HA. Now I'm adjusting 3 sliders here. I'm shifting this towards magenta around +5 to +10. This gives us that deep emission color. Saturation, boosting this to +30 or +40, really intensifying that red. Now we're going to look at another critical issue, protecting those star colors. Switch to yellows. Leave these completely alone, 0 adjustments, same with greens. If you touch these, your star colors will go wonky. We want only nebula emission lines, reds, cyans, and maybe magentas for HA. And here's our final result. Original on the left, flat, muddy, orange cast. Final on the right, vibrant HA reds, glowing O3 cyans, clean star colors, professional grade processing. Same data, same equipment, 5 techniques. All right, let's recap the workflow order. This matters. Step 1, RGB channel separation. Process red, green, blue independently based on noise levels. Step 2, targeted color noise reduction. Heavy on the blue, moderate on the green, and light on red. Step 3, white balance calibration. Neutralize light pollution using reference stars. Step 4, saturation masking. Boost nebula saturation while protecting your stars. And step 5, selective color adjustment. Push A towards magenta red, O3 towards teal cyan. And before we wrap up, here are 3 mistakes that will ruin your results. Mistake number 1 is processing all the channels the same. Your blue channel is not the same as your red channel. Treat them differently or you'll either have noise or weak colors. Mistake number 2, boosting saturation without masks. Global saturation turns stars into disasters, neon clumps of color. Always use masks. Mistake number 3 is skipping white balance. If you have an orange or green cast, every other adjustment fights against it. Fix the foundation first. Now here's a challenge for you. Take one of your old astro images, something you processed months or maybe even years ago, and run it through these 5 techniques. Then post your before and after in the comments or tag me on Instagram. I want to see your results. And if you found this helpful, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more astrophotographers who need it. And listen, if this video saved you hours of frustration or helped you finally nail those colors you've been chasing, consider leaving a super thanks below. It's YouTube's way of letting you support the channel directly, and it genuinely helps me create more in-depth tutorials like this one. Every super thanks goes right back into better equipment reviews, more processing guides, and clearer explanations. Even a small amount makes a huge difference to me and tells me also that you want more content like this. So if you got value here, I'd really appreciate your support. And finally, before I go, if you haven't watched my video about star halo reduction, that's the perfect companion to this one. Clean halos first, then color processing. That's the pro workflow. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.